Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zest with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, it's my absolute joy to welcome Lata Hamilton, a vibrant change, leadership, and confidence expert who has transformed her own career 5 times before the age of 35, tripling her salary while reclaiming her freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Certified in NLP and coaching, she is on a mission to help millennial women change careers with confidence, avoid burnout, and design the life that reflects their worth. In today's episode, I already know we're going to uncover so many secrets about earning more, working smarter, not harder, and leading successful change in all areas of our lives with no compromising our well-being. I am so excited to connect with her. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You are so welcome, my darling. And I think the big thing that stands out to me, there's so many things actually, but before we go into, because I think sometimes people, they see the treasure, which is obviously your salary, which we're definitely going to uncover. But before we get to that, I sometimes think it's important to not go backwards, but sometimes in going back, it really shows the process to where you got to. Because obviously, like now, and I'm sure it's still a journey, it's easy for us to kind of see the polished version and that's really beautiful, like for us to be able to see someone that is ahead and connected to the path or route, which is probably why someone's connected to this episode, that they believe they are worthy of and want to create in their own life. But as many of us know, often the road to the blessing that still is unfolding is not always the most linear and most butterflies and rainbows. And I would love to know, because something that I've really noticed is, yes, action, but this needs to be so strong. So I would just love your take on that, and particularly the story behind the 5 times changing career, because I believe that you purposely have put, like, you could say, oh, multiple times, or I had lots of career changes, but I feel like there's a significance in you really wanting to highlight that, and that I feel like you've got a gem maybe from each of those. So take the floor, it's all yours, and I'm excited to just hear your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what you sort of mentioned around, like action, yes. But I think as well, maybe where I've been a bit different to a lot of other women that maybe I've coached or that are my students or clients, is that I've been really strategic about my career choices and my career changes. So exactly what you were saying, it was almost like being smart, being savvy about it, and connecting that to what you want to live in your life, to the life and the lifestyle that you actually want to experience. We talk a lot, I think, about passion and purpose and all these really big sort of like words and like this expectation that our career is going to, be that driving force for us. And absolutely, of course, you want to love what you do. Of course, you want to enjoy going to work each day. But I think that there's a difference here where it's almost like, I like to say, like using your career as the launch pad to the rest of your life.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Because like if you think about like your career, I mean, for most people it's like a socially acceptable way to earn money in order to set your life and your lifestyle up the way that you want, and it still is the primary way that most people are able to do that. So for a lot of sort of clients, students, like what I'll often speak about with women particularly is that they've fallen into a career, like they never actively chose that next step. So for some it could be that they've that their parents wanted them to go into a particular profession. And my friend, actually, she's just had a baby and she's already like, He has to be like a lawyer or a doctor or a prime minister.
Yeah.
Like already laying that path out. And it
And
is
the
in
baby's
jest.
like, I just want to
The
breathe.
baby can barely see like, a foot in front of his face.
It's like,
So
Mama, I've not even learned to walk.
but you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's just like these expectations that we have on like even maybe from our family or maybe even from ourselves. Like you might have picked a profession when you were 5.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, because I picked it back then, I can't change my mind and I've got to keep going that path. Or because I studied that at university or at college, I've made my bed. Now I have to lie in it and I have to lie in it for the rest of my career. Or a lot of other times it's where somebody's been, tapped on the shoulder for a role. And so they've gone, okay. And they've just moved into it. And so I've had sometimes like clients and students where they've gone 10, 20 years and they've never actively stopped and actually chosen what it is that they want to do in their career.
Yeah.
And I'm not like that at all. Like at all. Like
That's why you're here. That's why you're pioneering. I can see your book because it takes that fearless, courageous, like person that's thinking very differently that makes other people think, oh yeah, I never thought of that. And that's the beauty of it.
And taking ownership, I think, is the really key point. It's like nobody else is living your life. Nobody else is your career except you. So taking ownership of it, making the decisions for yourself, and that's really what I've done my whole career. And I guess if I'm thinking about like what were those mindset things, what were the boxes that I was trying to tick in every single case. Like I am very financially minded. I love money. Like my whole life I've loved money. Like I used to collect money boxes when I was a kid. I had like this collection of money boxes. Sometimes people call them piggy banks. Like one was like a clown, one was like a silver money box, like with like different objects on it. Like I had 5 or 6 different money boxes. Like that's how much I've always loved money. And so one big driving factor for me was always like, I want to earn a good salary. I want to be compensated appropriately and generously for like what I bring to the table, for the skills, the experience that I bring to the table, the value that I add. So a lot of the times those 5 career changes have been around like, oh, I want to step up in my pay. I'm not earning as much as I thought that I would. But then at the other side, there's also that level of variety, growth, and fulfillment and challenge. Like, I don't like doing the same thing again and again. I don't like facing the same problems in a workplace or problems in a project or something like that. And so one of my really kind of major career changes that I experienced was because I came off a graduate program and I literally went into a role that was almost the same as when I started on that graduate program 2 years earlier. So I was just like the thought of then being in that role for the next 2 years, I'm like my mind couldn't compute. Like that is just so boring to me. So I was always sort of driven by sort of finance is probably number one, knowing that sort of my career is the launch pad to the rest of my life, that I want to be earning the kind of money in order to live the kind of life and lifestyle that I want. But then this other thing, which was this sort of driving passion, this driving ambition and need for sort of variety, growth and challenge, to keep things interesting, to keep things exciting.
I love that, and actually, I really I'd love your take on this, but I'd really like to zoom out as well about when you say about the finance, focusing on the money, because before you even revealed that, I felt you really connected back to something that was like something of joy from your childhood, and I think this is super important because there's focusing on money, which a lot of people do, but I felt nothing but like love and joy, and like you said, I love money. Whereas I think when we're coming at it, like it's all back to self and our intention, and actually, why am I doing this? For example, like you had the passion and all that, but you said like, I heard the undertone of, worth and for my progression and and I know what I'm bringing, so I know what I deserve back, because you had this respect and honor for money, that no, listen, money, I love money, and money loves me, so I'm going to be respectful and I'm going to receive what I should receive, which is very different to, okay, do you know what? I'm gonna go for this role. I really don't want to, but the money's great. The money's great, and then I'll get to do, and I'm sure there are times, no one's perfect, but I didn't hear that from you. I heard like you gave something a go, and yes, okay, you admitted the driving force was a little bit the money, but you also kind of saw the like, okay, is this actually what I want? Okay, no, okay, change again, and now I can understand the changes. And I think, like, I'm a big person of when we connect to joy in our heart, it does feel more fun and ease and flow. And so yeah, I hear like there's these buzzwords of passion and purpose and all this, but it's all individual to us, because someone might get like excitement out of data entry, they might just love the numbers, and someone else might not. So I think we should really, like, it all goes back to self. And if you really trust and believe in your self-worth and what you're offering, which I believe that you said, then yeah, no, you should love money, and money should love you back, and you should be rewarded for what you truly deserve. And I think there should be no shame about that, because I think, there's still this like negative connotation about wanting more, and no, we should 100% be going for that. So thank you for highlighting all of that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And, if I'm picking up on a couple of things that you said, I think that idea of self-worth is like, if you have a job that you don't like, is that really showing your self-respect? Like,
yeah,
if you're doing it only for the money, so it's almost like then in a way, it's almost like your own self-worth is actually going down. Whereas if you can kind of marry the two together, like we want to get paid, right? Because otherwise it's volunteering. Yeah. So it's absolutely okay and perfectly appropriate and actually desirable to want to get paid, compensated appropriately. But it's like, if you are only going into a role up for the money, you really do need to think about, well, what else is it? What other boxes is it ticking for me? Maybe in some cases it could be that there's actually more flexibility, and that at this point in time of your life, that's actually really critical for you. You really desire and want that flexibility, and so you're willing to maybe trade off a little bit on the financial side. But I still think that regardless of what it is that you're doing, it should still be that ownership comes from you. Absolutely. You deciding, not just taking whatever you're given. Yes. Which again, like, I think a lot of people are just so grateful to almost like have a role, or to be given like tiny incremental sort of like pay rises. And so like my first job was in a cafe. So I was like 9 months, which is the earliest that you're allowed to work in Australia and in the state that I'm in. So I started working from 9 months. And like, I didn't, like, it's an award, right? So like, you don't get to choose really like what your pay is. I would go up each year, but that was again based on the award. So like, there was no negotiation. There was no concept, I think, even of like asking to be paid more. It was just like, whatever is the award is what I'm getting. So there's like almost no room for even thinking about, well, what am I actually worth? What skills have I actually developed? What am I actually bringing to the table? And when that caps out at like 18 and suddenly you're an adult, and then you're working there for the next 2-3 years and you're not going up in salary or in casual rate, because you've already hit that cap. But it's like, are you seriously saying that you're the same person 3 years earlier, and that you're not bringing anything more to the table 3 years later? And yes, this is a cafe, but like, that you're not bringing, that's a pun actually, not bringing anything more to the table. Like, of course you're bringing more to the table, right? So it's almost like there should be almost like an expectation that you will go and you will earn sort of more. So then the second sort of career change that I had was that I decided that I was like, I've now been in university for 3 years. I've built these skills. I've done internships every summer. I'm like, I want to actually start getting paid for the skills that I've been building in my actual, not just like hospitality or retail, but like actually. And so I went and got a job in advertising agency, and like instantly I got like, I think it was about a 40% pay rise. 40%? 25%. 25% pay rise, sorry. Just by shifting industries, and I was still a casual. And then I realized that that wasn't going to pay me enough, and I'd worked so hard at university. And so I just went from the other side. So I went from advertising, which is the agency side, and I just transferred over to the client side, which is marketing. So marketing in a company works with advertising agencies. So I was essentially like doing the same work. I was on the other side of the fence. And just doing that gave me like a $20,000 pay rise.
Wow.
So like these aren't massive shifts and changes. It's just that thinking about like what you bring to the table, the transferable skills that you have, and then it's like, how can I use those in a new way, in a new place, to meet more of the goals that I have for myself.
I think also what the big thing I'm getting from hearing you say that is I feel it shows how valuable these types of conversations, and just in you sharing your process, whether you knew that or not at the time, someone could literally be watching this and, like what you say, whether 14 or 40, whatever, it doesn't matter. And sometimes I think we're given something in life and we don't know any different, or we don't open our mind that, oh, I can do that, because it's almost like we're not in a loop, but this is familiar, this is what this offers me, so maybe that's the same everywhere. We have these perceptions, especially being so young, say 14, like whether you were aware of it or not, but there was a slight like, this is how this is what happens in work. And I think once we have these conversations and we connect with people, which is why I want incredible, influential people like you on the podcast, to not just listen to a lovely story, to go, oh, okay, do you know, I never even thought about that. I would love to know more about this. Connect with this incredible person who has started forging the path ahead and showing a different way, because it doesn't have to be like listening to your story now and being like, oh, okay, she said to do this, let me do this. You don't have to do it blindly. There's someone here right now who has walked that path and is able to guide you, not to hold your hand, but to just say, why don't you think about this way? Or why don't you think about this way? And I think this is super important because, like I'm reflecting back on my own circumstances now, thinking, actually that pattern I didn't realize followed me. And when I received a little more, oh my gosh, I was so thankful. But I didn't realize, no, Shelley, you don't have to just receive a little more. You know, you can open your mind to so much more. And no, I'm being a little very, I did start noticing this. And the moment I used my voice more and started seeing, oh, I can do that. But until you either get it and you're courageous to act on it, or you have this incredible like conversation that you hear, like there's a reason why you're hearing this conversation now. Maybe there's something saying, come on, you can do it. Value worth, know your worth, in all areas of your life. Like even when you're going on a date, not does he like me? Do you like him? Is this someone you want to invest your mind and your energy and your time in? And the same vice versa. So I really appreciate all that you've shared. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I've got a post on LinkedIn that's going viral at the moment. It's my first real like viral post. And it's exactly that. It's like, I think I kind of share, like, I'm like, once I was at a conference and a project manager said to me, oh, if I had seen you'd moved companies every 2 years, then I wouldn't hire you. Like, I probably wouldn't hire you. And I said to this guy, we were just having like dinner at this conference, and I just said to him, I'm like, if that was a problem for you, like you wouldn't be the right leader for me.
Yes.
Because it's like,
because it's all we think one way. Yes. Wow.
You get to pick if that's the right person. Like, if somebody's that close-minded in their mind about how career and experience and exposure works, it's like, I don't want to work for somebody like that. Like, you get to pick when you're in a job interview, you get to decide, is this actually the right leader for me? Is this actually the right organization for me? We think that all of the cards are held by the hiring manager, the recruiter, the employer, the company. And it's not. It is a two-way street. They're a business, and then, we like to say, you've got to treat yourself like a business as well.
Absolutely.
And so if you think about that, it's like, what's your net worth as a business? What are your assets as a business?
And I think that goes back to your really powerful point earlier of, it goes back to self, because I think, like, thinking back to the younger version of me, of like, I wanted them to like me, and thinking how to say things or research things about the company, and kind of taking actions that aren't actually aligned with me, and just almost playing the game to receive the result. But actually, no, if you show up, you express the way you express, then you will know if you're the right fit, because you can play the game, and there's no wrong or right in it, but you sometimes will maybe receive what isn't aligned with you, because you became a different version in order to receive it. So I think, yes, there might be like a no, but when you get that yes, that is an aligned yes. So I think that's really powerful. And just, I want to be really mindful of your time, but just something that I know many will be really interested in, just from your incredible journey and all that's unfolding. Like, people hear like, oh, double salary, and I think, everyone loves the sound of it, and it's like, yeah. But I think there's a difference between, like, what you said of like the 25% and then this, and changing, but to triple. Like, I get now what you say about, there is an element of strategy to it, because that is very intentional, like, I believe. And so I would just love to know, did you, because I would, again, you speak for you, but obviously I believe all is mine, to be honest, to start with, and really being like, no, I know what I'm worth, I know what I want, and I'm going to go for it. Did you just hold that amount, or did you just know that, like, maybe the triple word, or like, what was your process? Like, what, I'm sure it was not just a quick, but I would just love to tap into your mindset during the journey.
Absolutely. And I think it's more something that I was able to reflect on after it happened. But I'll tell you how I got there. Because then when you reflect back on it, you're like, oh, yes, that makes so much sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happened was that I was in the company that I was in, that I did the graduate program with. So I went into marketing and sales graduate program, and I was with this company for 2 years. And then, like I mentioned, when I came off the back of that, they kind of just put me in an entry-level role. The same work, the same role that I was doing when I first started on the graduate program. And my salary hadn't increased, and I was like, well, you've been training me up as a leader, and I've been getting all of this experience on this graduate program, like, I should be earning more. And the biggest shift that happened for me, that put me on the path to tripling my salary, was that I had to take a really cold, hard look at loyalty. And it was that I felt like I had to be loyal to this organization. I felt like I couldn't leave, because they had invested the last 2 years into me and given me opportunities. Like, I relocated to another state for work. I got so many benefits. I was doing leadership courses that usually you would have to be in the company at least 5 years before you would do. And I was a grad doing these leadership courses. Like, they put so much investment. And so my model of career had always been my dad. He was our breadwinner in our family. We had quite a traditional household, male breadwinner. Mum was a stay-at-home mum. And he had just, like, been with one company for life, like the whole of my life, 20 years. He had been in this one company, and he just progressed, got pay rise after pay rise. So I'm like, okay, well, that's how you become successful. That's the only way you can do it. But I was like, how long is this going to take? Like, I'm already here. And I really do think, like, the biggest, most like most number one step and mindset shift had to be like understanding and recognizing the true cost of what loyalty was costing me.
Because I hear in being loyal to them, you're kind of being disloyal to yourself. So,
Yes.
but I also believe, and I'd love your take on this, it's not going to be easy. Of course it's not, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. There's going to be the pull of the heartstring and look all we've done for you, you know?
Yep.
Of course, that's the whole, and it's not again like doing it, you can do it with love and grace and honor yourself, but we are naturally going to be put in those situations and have, like what you say, almost like when you see like the little kind of pieces that were all a part of this like transformational leap, basically. It was, your dad and like, well, he did it and oh, well, he can, do it. Why can't I? And then we did this for you and we don't do this for other people but like what you say, have a good, hard look at yourself. Do you know what? You, because of your mindset, I believe, would have achieved it anyway, but you want it now or you're gonna wait. And I think that's the difference.
And I think as well, like, at that time, I was like, I'm not a 50-year-old white man. Like, my dad's white, I'm adopted. So, and I was like, I'm not a 50-year-old white man. I'm not going to wait the 20 years to be at the level of income and the level of leadership that I want to be at. I'm like, I don't have that patience. I'm not him. So I had to almost like carve my own path. And that was, and it was so hard to leave that company, but I left and I went to marketing into a bank, and then I got a $20,000 pay rise. And so that was, so incredible for me, because that kind of helped reinvigorate that sense of self-worth. And then it was literally just a chance conversation with a colleague. She was a project manager. And she saw my background in, I'd studied media and communications, I'd worked in advertising, I'd done marketing. She saw my background and she's like, oh, I think you'd be really good in change management. And I had no clue what change management was. So this was not a conscious, like me looking at different jobs and roles and going like, okay, cool, that's what I want to move into. It was a chance conversation that she sort of suggested to me. So I found out, I went and spoke to a change manager who worked in the organization, sort of found out a little bit, and then I kind of went to the sort of peak industry bodies drinks, networking drinks. And I remember like speaking with the people there, and they were just really friendly and really helpful, really nice, giving me ideas and tips. And I remember thinking like, if this is the kind of people that change management attracts, then this is the kind of profession that I want to be.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It was so warm and welcoming. And again, like at that time, I didn't know what organizational change management was from a bar of soap. It wasn't that I was strategically choosing that path. It was more that I knew what I wanted, and I knew that projects paid more because they're temporary. And I knew that I wanted that variety, like I'd moved around so much on the graduate program. I was like, I don't think I can just go into a regular role. I actually think that I need like something where I get to change what I'm working on all the time, and projects are great for that. So it wasn't until I landed my first role in change and I got a $15,000 pay rise doing that. So even when every time I change careers, I've gotten a pay rise every time. And then when I was working in change, so if you don't know what organizational change management is, it's like, I love to define things so simply. It's just moving people from doing things in one way to doing things in a new way. And we do it through communications, training, and business readiness. So does everybody have everything that they need to be ready? Wow. So it could be, imagine like you're putting in a new system in a company, and it's like, how are people going to know about the system is coming? How are they going to know how to learn to use it? How are they going to know, that they have their logins and their access and everything like that to be able to use it on day one? That's all that change management is.
Do you know though, like ironically, listening to your story, not to interrupt, but that's literally all you've been doing. I've heard from your story. So like I just don't believe that things just happen. Like I believe, you, whether you were conscious or unconscious, you were very clear and aligned, and that's why it came into your life, because you were the perfect person.
Maybe open to the signs as well, because I think maybe another person might have had that suggestion from their friend, and then not known what it is and not gone to bother exploring it. You know, like kind of had a bit more of a like a closed mind or a fixed mindset, then they haven't taken the strand and pulled the thread.
But that's why it's both, isn't it? It's aligned action, but like and I do believe in this, and I'd love your take on this, but like I really believe it's 80-20. Because if this does not believe and this does not allow you to write that email, to have that scary conversation, because it's what if, this is, I believe, the controller to make it happen. And then yalla, move your bottom, get going, you know?
Yeah, do the thing. Because you can also stay in your head too much, right?
Yes, like, that's what I mean. It's
actually
the balance.
Do have to take the action as well. Not just like
and I think even
manifestation
if
is great, but you actually have to do something too. You have to meet the universe halfway.
Absolutely. Like, and even like, you know, at the start, if you were going to literally be like, and then you have to put your laptop down and go for a walk or not look at it, just take it. What is the worst that can happen? They don't respond, they say no, or what is the best that could happen? But if you don't even take the first step, that's the change, you know? Go for it. Let them say no.
And that's what it is. It's like taking the chance, I think, as well. Like even if you don't know what it's going to lead you to. And like I had no idea still. Like I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I was willing to give it a go because I knew I didn't want to go backwards.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the big thing. It was like, well, I know I don't want to go back into marketing the way that I was doing marketing. I know I don't want to go back in pay and salary. And so, pardon me, I kind of went in kind of going, I'm open. I'm open-minded to whatever is coming up.
Yeah.
And so I landed in change management, and then I found out that you could earn so much more money in change management by doing day rate contracting. And again, like I had never heard of this in my life before, but it's essentially being paid by the day instead of being paid a salary. Wow. And I got a couple of weeks into my first change management role. Like I wasn't even experienced in change management yet, but I got a call from
you thought you wasn't.
Yeah, I had transferable skills.
I believe you definitely were, but anyway.
That's how I got the job. But I got this call from this recruiter, and I remember it so vividly. I got this call, and the recruiter was like it was telling me about a junior change role. So this isn't even like a senior change role. It was telling me about a junior change role, and he's like, oh yeah, the day rate is $750 a day. And I almost fell off my chair. I was that startled. Like I was like, what are you talking about? $750 a day. And like it completely blew my mind, and it blew the threshold of what I thought was possible. And there's other things that you've got to factor into the day rate, like, you know, your annual leave, your sick leave, like things that you've got to factor in. But it just blew my mind on terms of like the threshold and the possibility of what was possible. So I did like 1 year in my first change role, and then I changed and went on to day rate, and that's when I doubled my salary. And so within the space of 3 years, I tripled my salary to earning almost $200,000. And it happened so quickly. But I think that's the path or the journey that people see. What was also happening alongside this, and I think you're going to love this, Shel. What was also happening alongside this was I was learning neuro-linguistic programming and coaching. And so I was doing so much inner work. I was doing so much release work. It was actually my coach who had first suggested, hey, you know, this company where you're a graduate, like, I think you need to change companies. And it hadn't even occurred to me. It hadn't even crossed my mind to change companies. And it was just a little suggestion from this coach. And then I was like, oh yeah, I probably do. And so I was learning how to be a coach, but I was also receiving coaching. I was doing neuro-linguistic programming sessions with a coach. And so I feel like the two things went sort of parallel. So in coaching, I was actually working in the area of relationships. I wasn't working in the area of career or finances. I was single at the time. I really wanted to have a partner, like a long-term boyfriend. I'd never had a boyfriend my whole life. I was 27 years old. And when I started, I was 25. And then by the time I was finishing, I was like sort of 27. And I'd never had a boyfriend in that whole time. And so I was doing all of this like really deep emotional release work from the neurolinguistic programming and coaching side, and I'd started my side hustle as a life coach. And then at the same time, while I was almost like making these transformations in my personal life, these successes were happening in my career side. And I absolutely 100% believe that the success that I had so quickly in that tripling my salary in the space of 3 years to almost $200,000 was a direct result and correlation of doing the inner work.
Absolutely, because, and I'm sure you would be able to say more on this, but it's the subconscious mind. It's those times of, going back to like what you said right at the start of, it could be someone gets hurt and you run and you go and get your little, doctor's kit, and they say, she's gonna be a doctor, she's going to be, and it's never always like going to always be abusive or negative, but even the positive things people say, she is going to be like what you said about the, this baby will be a doctor. It's still things that are going in, and our mind's like, huh? Hold on, what? And so I really, really, absolutely believe in that. And I know you have a program which I'm sure people would love to hear about, because more than just hearing your incredible story and all that you're doing, we want people to have something they can take away today, even if that's just inquiring about it, or if you offer a discovery call, whatever it is, just, like what we said, don't just listen and enjoy. You feel something and you know there's something more for you, take action, make it happen. Not in a year, not when your savings are the perfect amount. Now, like what you've just said, you were just doing it parallel and maybe you didn't understand the reason why. And of course it wasn't boom straight away. You didn't know that was going to happen, but you just trusted whatever came to you, and you took the steps and if I heard you right, then on reflection, whoa. And that's what often happens is, when we are in it, that's kind of the illusion of it. We're not going to always see it. It's on reflection that we go, wow. So I think that's super important.
I think they say that, right? They say like hindsight is 20/20. And I think it's when you're reflecting back and looking over the changes that have occurred and the milestones and the achievements that happened and when they happened. And then you can look back at the thread of like the things that happened to get you there, and also the choices that you made.
Yes.
And how you showed up, and where you held a boundary, or where you said no, or where you put yourself out into a new context, or took a chance. And you can see how all of those sort of led you here to today. And I think that's probably what happened with me. So like my book, Pioneer Your Career Change, I wrote that, so I launched that in November 2024. And when I was writing it, I hadn't decided that was what I wanted to write my book on, like my career changes and like how I got there. But then as I was sort of writing it, that was when I actually realized that I changed careers 5 times. It had never occurred to me. Like until I sat down to write this book, I had never actually realized that was the number of career changes that I had made, and that I had done it before the age of 35, and that and then I was kind of like, okay, well, what are the things that kind of led me there? And I sort of share different stories and different tales. And like a really big one for me when I was sort of doing all of that inner work was because I'm adopted from India. Like there was a lot of things that I was releasing around sort of my birth parents, my birth mother, my birth father, things that you would have you would never think are related to your career. You would never think are related to money, actually are completely related to your inner self-worth and your inner confidence. And I didn't have any conscious memories of that. I came to Australia when I was 2. I don't remember the orphanage in India. I don't remember my birth parents. I love my parents, my family here in Australia. I have always been so happy, so grateful, enjoying life. I never even knew I had all of that baggage from the past. But that baggage was actually like what you were talking about. Oh, I should be grateful for what they're giving me in my career, in my job. I should just take what I'm getting, be loyal to them. And so they have this direct correlation, and it's not until you are putting yourself into a position where you can reflect on the past
Yeah.
and you can think about where things showed up in your life and then make those decisions, or not decisions, like correlations
Absolutely.
between
Yeah.
how that is actually impacting you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I would really kind of probably recommend my book, because that's where I go a lot into all of sort of this
Beautiful.
stuff. So you can find my book on Amazon, so Pioneer Your Career Change on Amazon, and then it's on all audiobook platforms, so it's on Audible and Spotify as
Amazing.
well. And then if you are interested in change management as a career, it's a highly paid
I
female
think I'm
dominated
even thinking about it.
it's a highly paid female dominated profession, and I don't think there's that many professions you can say that about. Then definitely come and have a look at my course. It's
Amazing.
called Leading Successful Change, and you can find it at my website at latahamilton.com.
Wow, so many like just gems and actions that people can take right now, okay? Don't even like start thinking, oh, Australia. No, no, no. Don't think. Just inquire, ask, connect, and just see what happens in your life. Um, I've enjoyed this so much. Just finally, what I always love my guests to do before you go is just off the top of your head, if there was a message someone listening right now would really, really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that everything comes down to confidence. Everything comes down to confidence, and especially in your career, and especially in your self-worth. And I love to think of confidence as being knowing who you are, what you want, the value you bring, and what you're worth. And if you can get clear on those 4 things, then you can show up in such a different way, aligned with your passion, your purpose, and your self-worth. And then the world will reflect that back to you. So, like, I feel like there's nothing else really that you need to work on. You just need to work on your own confidence.
So beautiful and well said. Absolutely amazing. You really are an influential leader, and I know you're not even at your peak yet. There's so much more for you. And I'm just excited for you and to watch your journey and just keep going, keep shining, and keep inspiring. And thank you so much for today. And I know many will benefit from hearing this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
You're so welcome.